In the last episode we arrived and checked into Montenegro, and whilst this is our winter destination, it's not winter yet and there's plenty more of this stunning country to explore. This is Intrepid Bear, a 40-foot sailboat off to explore the world with her crew Ian and Kate.
Come aboard and let's see what's out there.
So we're up early this morning. It's 20 to 8 now. We were up at 6:30. We're just taking a dinghy mission across to the two tiny little islands in the middle of the Bay of Kotor. One of them's got a little chapel on it. Very pretty to look at, picture postcard. Absolutely flat, calm, beautiful morning. A little bit misty over towards the island. But the reason we're going so early is because normally it's swamped with tourist boats, although it might be better at this time of year. But we thought we'd get up really early, hopefully get there before all the tourist boats, and have a little look around these two little islands over in the middle of the bay.
This is Our Lady of the Rocks. It is an artificial island built with rocks. Legend has it that fishermen started throwing rocks into the sea here in 1452 after finding an icon of the Lady Madonna and Child. This tradition continues at sunset every year on the 22nd of July, when locals go out on boats and throw rocks into the sea.
That was worth getting up for, wasn't it?
Definitely, it's beautiful.
It was stunning and so peaceful out here this morning because it's just totally flat. It's just fabulous. No one else around. I don't know what time the pleasure boats, the tourist boats get here. Just being out here is pretty fantastic, isn't it? Just in the middle of the bay here is pretty special.
Right, time for coffee.
Time for coffee.
We're heading back to the dinghy after our little mission, and I was just thinking how nice it's been to be able to go visit places. I know we got up particularly early this morning, but that was to avoid the crowds rather than the heat, although that's an added bonus. But I'm looking forward to all the things we can explore this winter, because it's been such a hot summer, which has been lovely in a lot of ways. I've spent so much of my life in the sun the last few months, but it's meant that exploring has been really difficult. It's just been too hot to do anything, so I'm excited because I love to get out and walk and explore new places. So yeah, this morning's made me excited for our winter exploring Montenegro.
Anchored back round in Tivat Bay, Kate had flown back to the UK for a visit and to pick up some equipment. While she was away, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II passed away after a reign longer than most of our lifetimes. Having served the Crown for many years, and Her Majesty having been part of our lives for my whole life, I was moved to play the traditional lament Flowers of the Forest in her memory. It was quite an emotional time for many British people. almost on cue, the autumn weather started to kick in. It turned out to be quite characteristic of this time of year that the really heavy showers would roll through, but before long the sun would return and I could get back to my chores.
So I've just dropped the sail down. I've just opened up the sail and dropped down the lazy jacks on this side so I can get to the sail, apart from anything else. It's full of water from the recent rain, but that's not why I'm doing it. No, because what we've got is we've got one of our batten pockets. The end of the batten pocket's really frayed, and the luff tension string line is sticking out the back. I don't think it's particularly fatal, but I'm going to have a go at fixing it with some sail tape. Okay, so I think we'll have the batten out of the way as well, so we can slide that out of the pocket altogether. So this is going to be the piece that wraps around the sail like that, and then down this folded bit in the middle. I need that not to stick, because otherwise that'll stick to the string. So what I'm going to do is stick this bit on the inside the other way round, so then that provides a non-sticky surface for that string bit to run through, and hopefully that shouldn't stick to the string then. So that's the idea. We'll see how it works out. So yeah, there we go. I say it's not perfect, but the telltale's still free, and fortunately, because it's on this area, this will give it a huge amount more strength, so it can't just pull out. The edges might flap a bit, in which case we may have to, as I say, stick some stitches in it. So I got a bit of a blow due. It's not meant to be too bad here, but not far away, only a few miles out in the Adriatic. It's meant to be like 50 or 60 knots. Here it's meant to be gusting to about 25, which is no real drama, but I never totally trust it because all the forecasts are different, and if there's 40 or 50 knots just over the hills there out in the main Adriatic, then you can't believe that it might not come here. So we're preparing for it. We've moved anchorage. We've come here sort of up by the airport, and we've got a wide open space that's only about 3 to 4 meters deep, well 5-6 meters deep. So we've got lots of chain out. We've got 60 meters of chain out, which is way more than you need for this depth. But there's no one close to us, so the more the merrier. As they say, the chain's no good in the locker. The only thing is, the chart says it should be about 6 meters deep here, which means there should be about 4 meters under the keel. It's only showing 1 meter. And I've checked with a lead line, and it is only 1 meter deep here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get in the dinghy, and I'm just going to go and have a little poke around with the handheld echo sounder, and just make sure that it is, the reason I'm doing it is because I don't trust, you know, the chart's not right. So therefore I just need to check there's no real shallows around us. There is meant to be a 3 meter lump just behind us, but it would appear that it might not be charted right, and we're on it now, which would make about 1 meter underneath, which is plenty because it's got no tide, so that's fine. But so I'm just going to take the dinghy and just take the handheld echo sounder and just make sure that there's no bits that will ground us if we do swing onto them. So we'll have a spin around the boat and just check that out. Okay, so we had a good sound all around. It just would appear that that lump on the chart is in the wrong place, quite frankly, because it's meant to be behind us, but behind us is 8 to 9 meters deep. So that little pillar of mud or whatever it is under the seabed there is charted in the wrong place. So worth checking. But now I'll get the dinghy back up before the storm kicks off, get it lashed down, and get ourselves secured just in case there is a blow. And then also importantly, if you're going to get a lot of rain, take the bung out the back of the dinghy so that if it rains a lot, the dinghy can drain, because what you don't want is the dinghy filling up like a swimming pool, because if it did that, it could get really, really heavy. If that dinghy was full of water, it would probably just bend and break those davits. So there's an extra lashing on the headsail. Some say take the headsail down. And if I was in a marina expecting 60 or 70 knots, probably would. Just reduces windage. But at sea or at anchor, you never know when you might just need that headsail. If something happened and you had to get underway and then the engine failed, that headsail could just get you out of trouble.
In the event, the storm never amounted to much, and the next day we picked up the anchor to head round and revisit Kotor.
So it is the 23rd of September. We're just heading around to Kotor. Excuse my eyes streaming. I've had a little bit of a sniffly cold, plus my eyes stream in the cold wind anyway, and the wind is getting cold. The season has really changed, kind of just like that. But we're going to head round to Kotor just for a change of scenery. We might go into the old town again, have a look around. Wind's in the wrong direction, so we're just going to motor. We're just going to gently bimble around there and have a few days around there. There's a bit of a blow due next Tuesday or Monday night. It's currently Friday, but we don't know whether that will materialise or not, so we'll wait and see.
So nice to be out walking again. I know I'm wearing a jumper and long trousers, but we're doing what I like doing, hiking, going in the back way.
Yeah, so there's this is the fortress, which we did back in May. You can see the walls of the fortress, but apparently there's a back entrance, a little bit sneaky I think, and you can climb up and then climb up a little ladder and into the fortress that way.
Hiking up the track to the back of the fortress avoids paying the fee at the main entrance, which we did feel a little bit bad about. But our aim was not to avoid the fee, but to see the fortress from a different perspective. And the hike did not disappoint, especially when we arrived at the abandoned village. And onwards up to the rather precarious rear entrance to the fortress.
Oh shit. I looked to leap up and smash my head.
If you just little hole.
You can see more about the fortress in our previous episode linked above. But on that visit we didn't have a drone available. This time we do, so enjoy some footage from the fortress before we head back down.
The eerie beauty of a foggy Kotor morning really heralded the changing of the seasons.
ground in a rainy Tivat Bay, it was the 1st of October, and time to go and claim our winter space in Porto Montenegro Marina.
Porto Montenegro, sailing vessel Intrepid Bear, channel 71, over.
Intrepid Bear, Porto Montenegro. Good afternoon, welcome. How can we assist you?
Porto Montenegro, Intrepid Bear, good afternoon to you, sir. We're inbound approximately 10 minutes from the marina entrance, heading to our winter berth, which I believe is M12, Mike 12. Can you confirm we're clear to enter, over?
Intrepid Bear, Porto Montenegro. Copy that. I confirm berth number Mike 12. Please tell me, do you need to go through custom, police and immigration? What is your last port? Over.
Porto Montenegro, no, we do not need to go to customs. We've been in Montenegro for 1 month already, so we will be coming straight in, over.
Intrepid Bear, Porto Montenegro. Copy that. In that case, you may proceed to the berth. We'll be there to assist you with the lines. Over.
Porto Montenegro, Intrepid Bear, many thanks for that. Standing by on 71.
All these are empty as well.
Yeah. There we are, all secure. There's a black pearl behind us. Hopefully she'll shelter us from any too much wind coming that way. Tucked in our berth, M12. Stern lines on. And the ground lines one either side. We're going to sort out the paperwork and stuff, but I might tension them up a bit more later. And now we'll just fit the plank so that we can get off.
Snug in our berth in Porto Montenegro, you might think this would be the end of our season, and you might even think that it would be the end of this episode, but you'd be wrong.
So I've got a flat calm, slightly overcast Sunday morning, but we're going to go out actually from the marina and we're going to have a look, see if we can find the Blue Cave as it's called. Hopefully the sun will come out a bit later because we need sunshine for the Blue Cave, and I'll have a look at the submarine tunnels. So we've bought ourselves a vignette, which is a bit of a faff in that you have to buy your cruising tax every time you go out, even if you go out for 1 day, and you can't buy it in advance. If you want to go out really early Sunday morning, you've got to get up really early Sunday morning, go to the Harbour Master's office. You can't buy it on a Thursday for Sunday or anything like that. So we come out the corner, we're now out in the Adriatic, and it really doesn't get a lot flatter than this. It is absolutely flat as anything. There's no wind for sailing if we were trying to sail anywhere, which we're not, but yeah, super flat. So we've managed to get the anchor to bite. We're quite close to the cliffs here, but it is like nearly 30 meters deep, and we've got about 60 meters of chain out, which is basically all of our chain. I think we've got 70. So it's quite tight. I wouldn't want to stay here overnight, but with these weather conditions, as long as we keep a close eye, and if the wind picks up, we get back to the boat sharpish. So we'll have lunch and then we'll go and have a look.
Bubbles there as well. Almost as someone's down diving there, or something's down right here. There's bubbles there. There's divers there or something.
At first sight, it appears crazy that anyone would be diving in the cave without a surface marker. However, the marker buoy would quickly have been tangled in all the boats. Normally diving alone is not recommended either, but everyone makes their own choices.
The cliffs all around this little bay were riddled with caves and grottos. Well, I think you're probably going to be alright, as far as here anyway. There's a rock under there, it's sticking out there.
As the weather was so beautiful on our way home, we made an unplanned stop in a little bay called Uvala Murista, possibly our last anchorage of the season, and what a great spot to end the 2022 cruising season.
What? It's really unplanned adventure, the best kind. This tower is Arza Fortress. So Ian will find out more about it and put some information in the voiceover or on the bottom, but yes, it's Arza Fortress.
Fortress Arza is one of several impressive fortresses in the area built by the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And it served as the first line of defence against enemies attempting to enter the bay. It was completed in 1850. And so, after a glorious dinner accompanied by the sound of distant church bells, we motored gently back into the bay at the end of a beautiful day. Our last trip of the 22 season had been fabulous. Please do join us next time when we will show you more of the delights of Montenegro through the autumn and winter. The 2023 season will be here before you know it. As ever, we would be eternally grateful if you could continue to help us by commenting on, sharing or liking this video and subscribing to our channel. It all helps YouTube pay us a few pennies for our camera equipment. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks.